to share this needle lace motif today with you all. This has double knots all over, and the center portion of the sun like pattern is formed in the usual way from left to right, and over this we are going to form beehives with double knots, and the needle moves in anti-clockwise direction as we are working. Over this 3 rows of leaves I have done. This looks beautiful, and we can work as many motifs as we want and join them also. Let me begin. Wrap the thread around your finger, make a cross as usual, insert the needle, and the back portion of the thread should be wrapped twice around the needle in anti-clockwise direction and pulled. This will be the first knot. Leave some space again, insert the needle, and the back portion of the thread should be wrapped twice around the needle in anti-clockwise direction and pulled again to form a knot, and pull this thread also so that the first loop is formed. Now let's move to the next. Insert the needle. Back portion of the thread should be wrapped twice around the needle in anti-clockwise direction and pulled. This is the second loop. All the loops should be of equal size, neither too big nor too small. I'm going to show you some more. I hope it is very clear how the knots and loops are being formed. We are going to do 20 loops and then close this ring so that the first row will be completed. I'll get back to you when I'm doing the 20th loop and close the ring. Now after completing the 20 loop, I'll pull this thread to form a ring. Let us complete it. Slowly we have to pull to form a ring. And again I'm going to place a knot here to secure it tightly. And later on we can cut this thread. Now let us keep it as it is and proceed with the chain round over all the loops. Now the loops look clumsy, but as we proceed with the chain round, this will form a neat pattern. And this time we are going to go in anti-clockwise direction. That the needle will move from anti-clockwise direction. Now first of all, insert the needle in this loop, and the top portion of the thread should be wrapped clockwise, and the back portion of the thread twice around the needle in anti-clockwise direction and pull slowly to form a knot. Now let's move to the next loop. Now you can see that I'm moving in this way. Insert the needle again, and this thread should be wrapped, top portion of the thread should be wrapped in clockwise direction only once, and the back portion of the needle thread should be wrapped twice around the needle in anti-clockwise direction and pull slowly. Now you can see the double knot is being placed. Now let's move to the next. Wrap the top portion of the needle thread in anti-clockwise and the back portion of the thread in clockwise and the back portion of the thread in anti-clockwise, and pull it. I'm going to show you again. Insert the needle, top portion of the thread, only once you're going to wrap it in clockwise direction, and the back portion of the thread, needle thread, twice around the needle in anti-clockwise direction, and pull it. And this is how we are going to do this complete round. And then form beehive over these. If the loops are a bit twisted, you can straighten it and then proceed working. This complete round we have to do in this way. Wrap the front portion of the thread in clockwise direction only once around the needle, back portion of the thread twice around the needle in anti-clockwise direction, and pull. This is how we have to do, and I'll get back to you when I'm at the end of this round. Continuing with the second round, chain round over this sun pattern, I'm going to show you how to add a new thread. Keep the new thread at the back of this knot and insert the needle, and here we can place a plain knot, wrapping the thread in clockwise direction and pulling it so that the knot is placed right on top of the previous knot. Secure it tightly. Now these two threads can be cut. To secure it more tightly, we can place one more knot over this knot. and we can continue working. In the next loop, this thread should be wrapped, top thread should be wrapped in clockwise, and the back portion of the thread, needle thread twice around and pulled to form a knot. While pulling, pull it slowly or else the thread gets tangled and you will have a hard time. While pulling it, we have to pull this thread, keep it straight and pull it slowly, or else the knot won't be placed correctly. Now this row is completed and you need not worry about this knot where we had joined a new thread. This will be covered when we continue with the next round. And now we are going to do beehives, smaller beehives over this. Now insert the needle in between these two loops and a chain in center of the chain. There's the chain in between these two loops. We have to insert the needle. Wrap this again in clockwise direction once and the back portion of the thread as usual in anti-clockwise direction twice around the needle and pull it and pull the thread slowly to form a knot in center of the chain. This beehive will be a little small because this is the first round above this chain. It will be a little small, and as we proceed further the beehives will become bigger. I'm going to show you some more. Now you can see smaller beehives are being formed above this chain. Pattern will be more beautiful as the motif proceeds. I shall get back to you when I have completed this round. Now I have done with the first round of beehive to begin with, and I have to go over with another 6 more rounds to come from here till here in the same way. Now insert the needle in this beehive and wrap the top portion of the thread around the needle in clockwise direction once, and the back portion of the thread as usual twice around the needle in anti-clockwise direction, and pull. Pull this also so that the beehive is visible. And this process is to be completed for another 6 more rounds before we start the leaf round. I'm going to show you few more here. It will be easier for you. Now working over the first round of beehives, it will be more easier. You can see how the knots are formed and beehives also over this. I hope it is very clear now. The knots should be placed in center of these chains. This is how we are going to do, and I'll get back to you after I complete the 6th round and before I start this leaf pattern. I'm going to do till here 6 rounds, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds. Get back to you. I have completed the 6 rounds of smaller beehives, and over this we have to work with leaf-like pattern. 3 or 4 rounds we can go over this. Now insert the needle and place a knot as usual. In the center, and now we have to make a small loop here. Insert the needle on left of the knot, and this portion should be wrapped in clockwise direction, and the back portion of the thread should be wrapped anti-clockwise and the thread pulled. And when we are pulling the thread, we have to see that the knot is on the right side and pull it slowly so that a small loop is formed. Pull it very slowly. The thread is a bit lengthy so that the knot will be formed neatly. And now this is the small loop that we have formed now here. Now insert the needle in this, and this thread should be on top of the needle, and the back portion of the thread should be wrapped twice around the needle in anti-clockwise and pulled again slowly to form a knot. This is the leaf, first leaf that we have done. Now let's move to the next chain. Insert the needle, and as usual place a knot in center. Now place a small loop here. Insert the needle. This thread should be wrapped clockwise, back portion of the thread anti-clockwise, and pull the thread slowly. To form a small loop here. This is the loop that is formed. Now insert the needle in this, and this thread always on top of the needle. Back portion of the thread should be wrapped as usual twice around the needle and pull. And when we are pulling, see that all this thread should be closer to each other, because the leaf looks clumsy. If it is very broad, it looks very clumsy. I'm going to show you some more. Now place a knot as usual in center to begin with. Needle should be inserted in this way to the left side of the knot. The thread wrapped in clockwise direction, top portion of the thread, and this thread goes around the needle in anti-clockwise and pull. And when we are pulling, you can see this is where the loop will be formed. Pull the thread slowly. Now the loop is formed. Now insert the needle again in the same loop. This thread always on top of the needle. The back portion of the thread will be wrapped twice around the needle in anti-clockwise and pulled. Slowly. This is it. I'm going to show you one more. And this needs to be completed for another 3-4 rounds. Now insert the needle in the loop, keeping this thread on top of the needle and wrapping the back portion of the thread twice around the needle and pulling it to form leaf. Now this will be continued for another 3-4 rounds. The knot will be placed on the right side of the chain of the knot. That is the loop. Sorry. Now this will be continued and I'll get back to you after I complete the third round of leaf. I'll show you when I'm at the end of this third round with another 3-4 patterns. I mean 3-4 leaves, how it is to be done. I have completed the first round of leaf pattern. And over this we can work, we can stop it here also. Even this looks nice. If you want the motif to be stopped here, you can stop it. Or if you want to increase further, we can go with 2, 3 and 4 rounds also. Even that looks good. Now let me proceed with the second row of leaves. Now we have to make leaf over this chain. First of all, let me place a knot here in the center. Then we have to work with the loop pattern now. Small loop. As I told you earlier, we have to pull the thread slowly so that a very small loop is formed. This is the loop. Now insert the needle in this loop, and this thread should always be on top, and the back portion of the thread wrapped twice around the needle in anti-clockwise direction and pull to form a leaf. Now let's move to the next chain. Place a knot as usual. And we shall make a small loop here again. Insert the needle in the loop. This thread always on top. Back portion of the thread, needle thread, should be wrapped twice around the needle and pulled. Now let's move to the next chain. Before we pull the thread, we should make sure that the knot is on the right side. Now I'm going to show you one or two again, and this process will be continued for another 2 rows. I'm going to do 2 rows and then stop this motif. We shall make a loop here now. This is the loop. Insert the needle. This thread always on top, and the back portion of the thread should be wrapped and pulled. The leaf is formed. In this way we are going to continue the second round and also the third round over it, and I'll get back to you after the motif is over. Now I have completed this motif with the third round, and if we want to continue further we can go over with one more round of leaf pattern in anti-clockwise direction. We can make as many motifs as we want for our project, and this is the finished portion, and I hope you liked it and enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.